And hello, brave adventurers. In this little video, we're just going to show you how you set up the board. It is super easy, but I like to show you now, and so this will be your little video for today. And thank you for tuning in. Once you know what sort of quest you're about to go on, what sort of story adventure that's been randomly chosen from the book, we need to set up the Tales of Adventure board. And in front of us, the board is open. And we're going to get it ready. Now, to play the game, we will need the 4 omen dice. We just pop those there in front of us, so they're always at hand. So we need to set up our dungeon. Now, our dungeon deck is your core dungeon deck, 23 cards. From this, we need to take out the entrance, the way out, which isn't the last card, it is a middle card. I'll explain that in a second. And then the story that we're doing will have your goal, which is the tomb. So in front of us right now, there's going to be 3 cards. So we have going in, the objective, and a middle card, which is the middle of the dungeon. This leaves us with 2 gaps. A, which is the front of the dungeon, B, the back of the dungeon. So you just take your last 20 cards, give them a shuffle. Doesn't really matter because this isn't a playthrough, good ladies and gentlemen. And all we do is a simple watch my hands move. My God, I sound like Paul Daniels. We just simply put your cards like that, hopefully all on camera. So what you now have is the entrance. That is if the whole point of the story is you going through the dungeon. We have the top A deck, bottom B deck, that middle card that separates the 2, which for us is the way out option. And then the final card, of course, is where we're going and why, which is the tomb. So now we've got that, all we do is flip these cards over. Look at that, it's magic. So what we have now is 1 set of cards, which takes us to the tomb, and we know for a fact that the top card is always going to be the entrance. And from there we just take our shuffled 10 cards for rewards. General encounters, which is our event deck. Your threats you need to fight, and your dangers. Now obviously I like to put them in this order, but you can jiggle them around as much as you want, just like where the camera went just now. And all we need to do now is give the shuffle, which is your decks. So there we go, quickly put on there is an adventure. So you would open up your adventure book, you read out a little bit of why you're going into a dungeon. It will tell you what is your starting card, which for us is the entrance, and then the your goal card, which is at the back of this deck. And of course it may say to you, if you're rescuing prisoners, make sure that that specific card, which is the dungeon cell card, which is going to be at the backish of the dungeon, which will be in that, if you remember, it was going to be in the middle, the back, which is the B dungeon deck. So you know you had those 2 decks. So when you build your deck like so, it comes like a sandwich, and somewhere at the back of this will be your prisoners. And this can be done depending on the scenario to create certain things and create that story. So basically the game is raring to go. The only thing that we haven't talked about today is something I may have mentioned called the party line. Now this game board is a book on a table, and at the top you can see coins. The first coin here is a dragon, which has a rim of silver. The second coin is a dragon, and then the rest of those coins going onwards have an eagle. And these coins are just not there to fill up the board, they actually represent the party line. So in a minute I'm going to put some figures on the party line. Now this game will come with some kind of standee or meeple. It won't come with miniatures, because I don't know if you know about the costs of creating something that you probably have at home. But since you may not, I will have to provide something, and in the comments below or go into my Facebook page, we'll be able to have a conversation over the summer months and find out what we need. So for instance, I'm just going to put some figures on here as representation. These are just standees, which are of the paper variety. We have some MDF figures. I can always put links to these by Flat Miniature Company, I believe, in the United Kingdom. Very good. As you know, you have a party of 4, but since we're putting everything on the board, let's just put, I do believe he's a talisman figure, painted about 30 years ago. And this looks like an advanced Hero Quest figure, painted by me, and hopefully not too blurred, a very long time ago. So we do see 6 figures in front of us, and it is just for a representation, because we do need something for the board, and that's something I need to speak about to the manufacturers and the factory when the time comes. So what would happen is you would have your party line of up to 4 figures. And what's important is when you start turning cards over, maybe somewhere in the reward deck, definitely in the danger deck. Sorry for giving you the old finger there, but it's there you go. And so what happens is it will say something like the first player, or it will say something like the leader, or it may say front of party. Now the leader is going to be the guy at the front, or the gal in course. The front of party are both of the dragon coins. And then the rest of the party would be these guys. So when it says the front of party make a test, either or both of the 2 front figures, the dragon coins, will have to make the test. So if, for instance, the ceiling was coming down, and somebody had to hold the ceiling up, you can't choose someone else in the back of the party. It has to be the people at the front of the party, because they're the ones that quickly have to hold the ceiling up. The same would be for like a slamming door. Then again, if you come across a puzzle, anybody in the party can walk up to the puzzle and solve it. But if it's something which is going to happen very instantly, very quick, especially at the front of a party, like a trap, then also this party line is quite important. So let me leave those figures up there for a moment, because we have these dice, if you remember, and on them you have the symbol of the flaming torch. So what that flaming torch actually means is there's going to be a card or a token, thank you, as I lean across, and we're just going to use this coin for this demonstration, if you don't mind. So what will happen is the first player token is given to you or your character, who is the leader. Okay? And then what happens is you will roll these dice, and if we roll 1, it says danger, but if you keep rolling it, this symbol will appear. So what happens then is let's call it the first person token. It is passed to the next person, whoever you have your character boards around, or if you have other people, they'll be around the table. And that's that pass the parcel, or the pass the bomb mechanic I may have mentioned in the video overview. So for instance, let me just take these two figures away and call this a party of 4. So what would happen with that die, you would pass this token to that player. And as you play along and you roll more dice, let me just grab a couple. And here we have a threat, and we will pass the token. So as we know, the second player here, the second character, who's in the front party line, he's got this token. And so with this die roll, you say, well, let's have a fight first, which is this card here. And then once that's resolved, because of this red die, we can pass the token from you to you. Or we could pass this token down the party line, and then we use this die to trigger this card and have a fight. Now, what's quite important is the danger and the reward. So, do you pass this token to the next player? They turn the reward card, and if it says the first player token gets this reward, then you've handed that reward, could be money or a special item, to the player in the party line, or the hero if you're playing solo. Same with danger. You know, if the player who was going to hold this token might end up falling off a cliff, then you want to give that token to the next person in the party line, and then they draw the card that falls off the cliff. But if you keep the token and then turn the card over, you are going to fall off the cliff. So you can imagine there's a little bit of power play there, fooling around with yourself if you're playing solo, or with your friends. Let me just grab my hands over here and take these away. If you have a Kickstarter at home and you're hardly playing it and it has lots of miniatures, this game really helps you bring those miniatures out and to life. So again, the leader will be the knight, and the other person in the front of the party would be this young adventurer. And of course, if we just grab a card, a corridor, we would roll the green die. An event, we would move on. There'd be a danger die to roll. And we get the symbol, which means this will pass to him off the board where the cameras can't see with his player boards. And it will be, for a 2-player game, it will be passing backwards and forwards around the table when this symbol is triggered. The other thing you can do before we end this video is we can change that party line. So after every time we turn a card over, as long as there's no fighting going on, before we turn the next card over, like so, we can agree to change the party line. So maybe you would like your, let's say this guy was the roguey thief. You might like him at the front looking for traps. But then again, if monsters might jump out and attack the lead of the party, you probably want to have the knight at the front. So again, you've got your party line. This can change, but stay as it is. It is triggered from these cards by these dice. And at the moment, just showing you, we was using this coin that I got from a different Kickstarter to represent the passing around and the changing of the party line between this knight and this rogue thief character. And hopefully that explains, with not too much complication, the simple setup of the board. Whatever figures you like to use, so if you have even say the He-Man skirmish game at the moment, you can put He-Man there, you can put Orko the Wizard, maybe you have some Dungeons & Dragons figures, some of that pre-painted from Pathfinder perhaps. I believe Gloomhaven has standees, and because this game doesn't have art inside of the cards on the front that you read, you're not locked into any sort of fixed setting, and that's the beauty, I feel, of Adventure Awaits. is allow you to say open up your, I think it's monolith Kickstarter of Conan, put those figures on the party line and just play in your wonderful world of Iborium and any other setting. I hope this 15 to 20 minute video has given you an understanding of something you kind of already knew. Stick the cards that are shuffled on the board, how you set up this deck, and what the party line represents, which is these coins at the top. Anyway, brave adventurers, I'll leave that be, and I hope that gave you more of clarity and not confusion today. I thank you, and I'll catch you in a few days with my next video. And soon, once you got through these little short videos and you feel like for it, you can go into a playthrough. Literally, if the playthrough is already up, you can enjoy it straight away and have fun. Thank you so much. Bye now.